Chapter 3. Just what is a board war game? Starting specifically, we're talking about recreational gaming, not professional, though the two are nearly identical, having played both. One, you drink beer or root beer and eat pretzels. The other, you drink water and you don't eat. That's about it as far as the mechanical environment, so to speak. Here's our first example. Kriegspiel, Prussian, 1824. Notice we're using a board, a physical length of material. Paper, cardboard, wood, plaster, doesn't matter, as long as you have a representation of the area to be fought over, like a map. Actually, map is the best description since the conflict or battle is conducted over a section of earth, a place on the ground, generally speaking. What's really interesting about board war games is they're preferred over computer screens by some and at times. Professionals use computer screens, yes, but interestingly enough, they have another entire process that uses game boards, just like civilian board game players. A board war game is not simply about moving pieces and rolling dice. It is a study of choices, limitations, and consequences. The player is placed in command, but must operate within the same general conditions that shape the historical campaign. Plain and simple, you're the commander and overall planner. It's as if you sit at a command table, viewing the entire battlefield, including the length and width of the conflict. A lord of war, so to speak. Before we move into the final section, let me illustrate the serious foundation of what you do in game form. You think, you plan how to fight, which in simple terms means executing the principles of war. They're represented in diagrams and on maps, which in turn are performed by groups of soldiers, equipment, and weapons, moving, fighting, consolidating, then ending the battle in either victory or defeat. In this final section, I'm going to present 5 elements generally used in board war games. And that is the terrain effects chart, the combat results table, unit counters, hexes, and turn-based phases. There's another aspect to some war games that have to do with weather. I'm going to talk about that in a game-by-game aspect. That'll be reserved for another video. For now, we're going to start with the terrain effects chart. The terrain effects chart explains how the battlefield shapes every decision. Clear ground allows speed, while forests, rivers, cities, and mountains restrict movement or strengthen defenders. The chart converts geography into game rules, reminding players that armies do not fight on empty maps. Terrain influences where units move, attack, defend, and survive. The next thing I want to talk about is the hex. The hexagon divides the map into equal areas, creating a common measurement for distance, movement, and combat. Unlike squares, hexes allow units to move naturally in 6 directions without awkward diagonal rules. Each hex represents a portion of real terrain on the ground, turning geographic space into a manageable and consistent battlefield system. Following the hex, we have unit counters. Unit counters represent the formation under a player's command. Their symbols identify infantry, armor, airborne, artillery, and other forces. Their numbers show combat strength, defense, and movement. Each counter is more than a playing piece. It represents soldiers, equipment, leadership, and battlefield capabilities of an organized military formation. Let's turn our attention now to turn-based phases. Turn-based phases organize the concept of warfare into a game-controlled sequence. A phase may include supply, movement, combat, reinforcement, and recovery. Each directs players to act in a logical order as a facility toward the game. It's a way also to group specific game actions in proper arrangement in order to determine correct outcomes, such as the results from battle. That brings us to our last discussion point for this video. That's dice. To someone unfamiliar with wargaming, dice may appear to determine who wins, but that's not quite their purpose. Skill remains central. A good commander seeks the best odds of success. Always the odds. Luck also plays a role, primarily through dice. Dice primarily represent uncertainty, the fog of war. A commander rarely possesses perfect information. Reports may be incomplete, units arrive late, defenders resist longer than expected, an attack loses momentum, weather, leadership, fatigue, confusion, mechanical failure, and countless human decisions influence the outcome. The player can improve the odds of success, though the player cannot guarantee the result. A 3-to-1 attack may be carefully prepared, but the final outcome remains uncertain. The roll of the die represents all those factors that cannot be individually predicted or conveniently placed on the map. That uncertainty gives the decision its tension. If every attack produced a guaranteed result, there would be calculation, but little drama. If every result were random, there would be chance, but little strategy. The art of the war game exists between those extremes. Skill creates the opportunity. The odds measure risk. The dice reveals what happens. Let's complete this last section by talking about the combat results table. The combat results table translates military strength, position, and chance into an outcome. Players compare attacking and defending forces, calculate the odds, and roll the dice. The result may cause retreat, disruption, casualties, or elimination. It introduces uncertainty, ensuring that even a well-planned attack can succeed, stall, or fail completely. I got to say one last thing, make an honorable mention. My daughter-in-law, Tanya, bought me a Christmas present. It was Hit the Beach by Milton Bradley, published in 1964. This is a game, maybe not for hardcore gamers, but definitely for collectors like me. And this is a collector's item. Also, I noticed the ribbon for Southwest Pacific for World War II. That's where my grandfather fought. And his medal is right below the Pacific Campaign ribbon. Thank you, Tanya.
Down among the pile, this Scottish